I would be lying if I told you that the sunset that I am driving into for today's chest day was not, if not exquisite, simply beautiful. Quite the good word. Which, honestly, it's kind of a, I don't know. When I look back at the times when I've really been locked into working out the most, it was typically later. And I'm not talking later like, 8 o'clock. I mean like midnight, like 1, 2, even at like some 24-hour kind of private gyms. Now that's, I wasn't waking up with a regular schedule. That was when I had like, my first class was at like 2 p.m. or something like that. So not really, nothing too wild. But it made me kind of nostalgic for gloomy weather. I'm talking just real muggy, kind of rainy even, just because it, I don't know. It just kind of gets me excited because it's like a good counter to the amount of energy I'm trying to bring to these lifts. So it's, I guess that's kind of cool for me. Bad weather doesn't really put me in a bad mood. Sometimes it just gets me extra excited because I know, well, I don't know. Just something I think about. Because if you're too prone to mood swings or like just overall feeling fluctuations, just from something as simple as it not being extra sunny out on whatever given day, it's like, dude, what are you doing? But now I'm just kind of getting into some weird, kind of deeper weather-based thoughts. Conclusive statement: don't let the weather decide if you're going to have a good lift or a bad one. But in terms of today's lift with chest, I'm talking incline something, probably Smith machine, and then I'll just go from there. I might set up actually, yeah, I've really been liking an incline bench up against two cable arms, not super far apart, kind of, maybe 7 feet, 6 feet distance from each other to do some kind of converging cable pressing. I've really been liking that. And then this gym also has some chest presses too, so I'll just kind of see what happens, right? Play it by ear. But first movement will definitely be that, well, actually, I can't say definitely, but probably going to be incline Smith. And then I'll just kind of bounce around. Chest, chest and back, I don't have the trickiest time with, because as long as I follow my basic kind of skeleton of what a workout looks like, heavy pressing, some fly-based stretched work, something I can really get a good squeeze on. So, those three could basically be hit each with like, incline Smith, incline barbell, incline dumbbell, whatever, followed by maybe, even just a regular pec deck, and then something more squeeze focused. Just do some cable flies, a little bit lighter maybe, and then just really hold that bottom part, and just try to gather as much blood in your pecs as possible by going back and forth between a really nice deep stretch and then a hard flex at the bottom. So really not the trickiest thing in the world. And for me right now, it's actually getting a little bit trickier for me to get crazy hype and excited for some of these lifts. And part of that is because, well, not even part of it, almost all of that is just because I'm dieting down, which this might be a flawed mentality on my end, but if I'm not like bulking up, then all I'm doing is maintaining the muscle I've already built, which, I mean, it's still going to require effort. I mean, the harder I work out, the better I'm going to kind of maintain everything, keep my strength. Like, it's not like I'm coming into workout for no reason, but there is a certain, like, excitement that I get when I'm bulking up and gaining muscle, because I'm tangibly, like, making legitimate gains. So sometimes when I'm dieting down, it gets a little trickier to get insanely hype, because I probably just the ego lifter in me talking, because I'm not like pumping up with the craziest amount of weight possible, being a little bit more reserved, calculated with the way that these sets go. I don't want to hurt myself, of course. And I think the only reason I'm saying that right now is because I'm not deep enough into the dieting phase to really start to kind of be blown away. And what I mean by that is, in like maybe even just a few more weeks, I'm going to get lean enough to the point where I'm not even concerned with the fact that I don't physically look as pumped as I did, however many weeks ago or months ago when I was fully bulked up. The benefits of being all lean and striated and veiny will completely outweigh that. And then I'm going to be sitting looking at myself like, holy shit, this is fucking, even if I felt weak, tired, lethargic, whatever, being extra lean is kind of the give and take. So the give is, all right, you're giving a lot of effort. You're not, basically more often than not during the day, you're hungry. Because if you're not, that just means you're physically not in a deficit. And then, you're going to be a little weaker in the gym. It's just the nature of it. A little bit less endurance. But the take, right? Your take, it's holy fuck. I haven't seen that bicep vein in years. Whoa. I'm gonna have a six-pack in a few months if I keep this up, So that's your end of the deal. And for some, that deal is hard to make. That deal is hard to stick to, just because it really is just hard. Not only due to kind of a lack of experience with counting your calories and dieting knowledge and everything else, but even just the physical effort of sticking to a calorie deficit for being leaner in a few months time. I mean, I see the appeal. I understand. I understand the allure of opening up the fridge, opening up the freezer, and seeing a tub of vanilla bean, maybe 2 pints or whatever, just waiting to basically be scarfed down by somebody. Hey, why not you, man? I've been dieting pretty hard these last couple of days. It just doesn't work, So that's why I really like talking about counting your macros and everything, because it gives you a little bit more flexibility, right? I mean, if I was like, absolutely, I can't go on, I need a pint of Ben & Jerry's right now, I'd be able to fit it into my dieting phase. Now, that would be a pretty big thing to fit in. Like, I'd probably end up doing a really big, like almost basically a carb-free fast all day. Like, just eat, lean proteins. And then have that tub at the end if I really had to have it, like in my mind or whatever. But, not saying that's the best way to go about it. Definitely fucking not. But, you can make it a little easier on yourself once you know the rules, right? I mean, it's like somebody who, you're basically putting two guys up against each other in Smash Bros. And one of them is a fucking, dark pit demon constantly throwing electroshocks out the wazoo. And then the other guy picked random. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know all the rules and all the tricks, you're going to have a rougher time. So that's why I think the guys who, put in a little bit of the effort learning about a little bit, and you don't even have to be a food scientist or a nutrition, physiologist or whatever else to get the fact that, like, if you back off on your carb intake and your fat intake and you maintain the same protein intake, then you're going to start losing fat, maintain steady energy levels. Like, it's not rocket science, but it definitely does require a touch of effort. But I don't want to turn this into a purely dieting pre-workout chat. How about we just get ready to grow, I guess not grow. Let's just get ready to temporarily increase pec size by at least 2 cup sizes. At least. So, no point talking about it any further. Let's just make it happen. Minor change of plans. The Smith machine was occupied and the guy was doing decline. If he was doing incline, I'd just work in, but instead, let's try this flat bench. I could maybe do 5 plates, but let's just do 4.5. I've never done this movement before, so I don't want to go too crazy. Okay. Yeah. Oh my god, okay. One more at least. And I gotta raise that minimum distance. It's almost too tricky to even get into. This is good though. A little more flat / decline than I'm used to. Oh my god. Oh. Let's lose the 25 and do one more. Oh my god. Holy crap. Oh. Ooh. Huh. I've never really used this machine for a real working set, apart from just kind of playing around before I get started. I gotta stop closing my mind off to this shit. But let's move on to maybe a more tried and true cable something. We'll see. Perfect start though. Even though I've only eaten cumulatively, let's not guess and actually pull up the number. 125 grams of carbs today, 56 of fat, 121 of protein, so 1,500 calories, which for somebody my size, not a ton. I feel strong. So even after those 3 sets of that press, 3 plates right here feels like a good working set. So I'm not gonna abuse that feeling of strength and just start throwing the weight around, because that'll just increase my likelihood of just messing myself up. So this will be another controlled one, squeeze focused, and then just probably do a couple sets until 3 plates is kind of unfeasible. Move on to some cable-based flies or something, and that'll probably be it. So now all I gotta do is pick a good song and go nuts. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Let's make this next one a drop set, and then that'll probably be it. Well, for this press at least. Okay. Okay. Oh, that fatigue hit me kind of quick on that one. Let's do some fly-based cable stuff. And then chest. Be all done. Which is about right. 5 decently crazy sets of heavy pressing. And then even just 1 fly set to finish. I'll make sure it's a good set, of course, but it sounds about right in my eyes. No way. Okay. Have I got a plan or what? So I'm thinking bent over, kind of upper pec focused pressing. And I'm maybe 5 or 6 reps, like not to failure, just as a pre-exhauster. Then stand up, get a little more of an upright posture, and do some decline kind of flies, which is not only lower chest, like it's a full squeeze in the whole thing, but I like this stretching action. Because with all pressing and flies, usually it's this way, so my arms being pulled back here, whereas when I do it, pulling the weight downward towards like, in front of my hips, it's just a different kind of stretch, which I've just really been liking as a finisher. So let's just get amped up and finish this. No. 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 Okay. No. 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 Okay. That's good. There we go. So chest complete. Honestly, at least from my sort of subjective grading on it, with flying freaking colors, heavy pressing, good squeezing fly set at the end just to finish things off. So I'm fucking A-okay with that. And now all I gotta do is just see what the final product looks like. And by final, I do not really mean final, right? Because that's gonna be a while before this is like the max lean kind of look. But for barely a month deep, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about, let's just say, what the future holds. So waist, getting trimmer, actually get the kind of ab separation between my hips, and even just standing doing like not even a vacuum. Holy crap. I'm so used to being bulked up, it's like having a more trim waist is like kind of even surprising me. Like, holy crap. Like even just standing and do that kind of scrappy, relaxed. I feel like the mirror is almost distorting me. But no more, let's just run through some. There we go. Chest complete, and frankly, I'm a little disappointed in myself. Not because of the lift, but because of the mentality that I walked in there with today. You know, I'm not trying to make this sound like oh, you gotta always walk in with like an open, but it's like, you know, I walk in packed. It's Veterans Day. It's a Monday, so it's like, you know, everybody's off. Everybody come to the gym a little earlier, you know. So it was jumping in there, but my first reaction was not like, oh shit, all right, a lot of energy in this space. Let's get after it. You know, let's bring it. I want to match this energy or add to it with my own. That was not my first instinct. My first reaction was like, oh fuck, it's fucking packed in here. Jeez. And it's like, and then I was gonna do Smith machine first, but you know, there's a guy doing it, so I had to kind of change my plans. And all I was thinking was negative. All I was like, oh, well, now I gotta do the. Uh, what a fucking punk mentality. Luckily enough, though, I got out of it pretty quick once those first working sets actually started. But yeah, try not to let any of that fucking seep into your mind. You know, because if I was a little bit more, what's the word? And I think half of it is maybe I might be feeling the deficit a little bit. Like, this is not just pure zero effort for me to stick to, you know, sub 3,000 calories on the daily. I can, well, I don't know. I can definitely tell I'm dieting, you know. But, you know, if I was a little bit less, you know, really into my workout, like really didn't put as much effort in trying to make sure I'm like focused on my own shit or whatever, but I could totally imagine somebody walking into the gym with that same kind of reaction, like, oh, it's fucking packed. And then just having like probably the shittiest lift they've ever done because their head isn't really into it. And it's like, oh, it's just gross. You know, so after I was kind of warming up before I get into those first few working sets, I was already out of that mentality, like I was into it. But yeah, try not to get fucking upset, man. It's just, and it's over nothing. Like, it really is over nothing, you know. So it's like if somebody cuts you off in traffic, or not you, but you know, someone, that can be someone's story for the day. It's like, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened to me. Somebody cut me off. So, right? It's nothing. It holds no bearings, you know. So it's just try to keep yourself in your own little zone and make sure that zone's vibe, and if it's, you know, something like working out, intensity is where you want it to be. You know, it's kind of that situation of you know, water doesn't sink a ship, it's the water that gets in kind of situation. But I'm glad I got over that in like just, you know, a couple of minutes after doing my cable warm up. But it was enough that I kind of noticed I was thinking it, you know. So just something to keep in mind. You know, if anything really throws off your vibe or gets you out of the mood or whatever else in your workouts, like let's just tone it down to just purely the working out part of things, then, you know, just try to back off a little bit and explain to yourself what you're even upset about. Because frankly, it's probably just nothing, and you know, you're being silly. So, awesome lift. Felt really cool at the end with that pose down. Definitely the feeling of that workout in tandem with the end pump to result almost almost kind of baffled me. Like, I felt good, I felt strong, so I guess it makes sense. But I was just talking to somebody else, Mr. Joseph. Guy was you know, him and his dad are working out, and we're having a little chat. Lost over 100 pounds, or just about 100 pounds in a year. And every time I hear a story like that where somebody has a legit crazy ass body fat transformation, dude, it's like we're both out of the matrix, right? We both get it because he knows the power of cardio and calories and macros and everything else, because you can't make such a crazy change like that unless you get a grasp on it. You know, not to turn this into a macro tracker talk, but I swear, man, it works. And once you get it, it just shows you the path, and then your only choice is to either go down it or not, you know. So honestly, to not track your calories or to not even think about it, I think that's not that's like ignorance of the law does not oh crap, what's the quote? Ignorance, well, whatever. right? You're just turning the blind eye to something which you can totally benefit from. But what I was saying to him, we were kind of talking about how I'm getting into, I'm dieting down right now or whatever, and like this chest day's pose down felt twice as freaky looking, or I guess looked twice as freaky looking as last chest day's pose down for me. And now that's just an extra surge of motivation to keep this dieting phase going. It's not like I was ever gonna just quit the diet in like 2 days and say, oh, I just want to bulk up again. But seeing these little incremental bonuses, basically little stepping stones and getting leaner, does make me a bit more motivated. My likelihood of going home and just scarfing down some Cheez-Its or over snacking or whatever has now decreased tenfold, because I know that this calorie deficit is going to make these chest pumps and all my other pumps crazier and crazier and crazier looking until, well, I guess really until I've freaking had enough. But as well as I get. So, yeah, little, even just week by week changes, they are possible. But more so, probably 2 weeks, you'll actually really start to notice visual things like that. And I'm not even taking into account the fact that, some days you're just more pumped than others. It's not it's not, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's not rocket science. I mean, if you had a little bit better sleep, you were a little bit more hydrated, maybe that workout was just a little bit more pump inducing, you did some different movements or whatever else, then yeah, I mean, you'll be a little more pumped one day versus the other. Plus, it was in different lighting. I think the lighting in that little posing room was a little cooler than the one in the last chest days pose down, a little bit more down lit and like sharp with the shadows. Little possum running around. But either way, that just makes me fucking excited. And I can't stress this enough. The amount of like just kind of, hype and giddiness that I get during these pose downs, I do not think it is like exponentially better in any way than my first few months working out. Like my first pictures when I'm like doing a side chest, holding my phone in like the gym bathroom, back when I was Jesus, another deer almost thought he was gonna jump out in front of me. But like back in the high school gym where I'd go down and work out with them during like their weightlifting class, like, dude, it's not it's the same situation. It's taking how big you are at the moment and then on a muscle by muscle basis, basically just beefing you up a couple of levels, right? It's like taking you may as well be drinking a stats potion, right? So it's like the work. Well, I guess you kind of are taking a fucking stats potion with the pre-workout, but you're basically saying, okay, I want my chest to be extra big right now than it usually is. And then, fast forward an hour, fast forward 45 minutes, or how long that workout took, you're going hard. And at the end of it, holy shit, my chest is as big as it would be in 1 year of just regular like growth in just the phase of an hour, because it's extra pumped up. It's kind of a glimpse into the future, right? That's kind of the logic of, being a pump chaser. Right? Every time you see your chest pumped or your arms pumped, you're basically just maybe not spoiling yourself, but showing what your arms would look like if they were that big. And for me, that has always been a fucking just motivating factor. I think it really sucks, but it's just the nature of it. We're only pumped for like 3% of the day. Like, I guess you're pumped during the workout, so if you want to if you want to be lifting in a tank or just straight lifting shirtless if your gym allows it, then I guess you get to be pumped for a little longer. Usually I like the covering up because then I have something to reveal afterward. But at least for my case, if that's your thing, like you lift pretty much covered up and you got a pump check at the end of the lift, then what? You're looking at yourself pumped for like 3 minutes. What's the percentage of 16 hours that 3 minutes is? Assuming you sleep 8 hours, those don't count. But let me see if I can try to do it. So 8, so 16, 600, 900. So that's that's like 0.3% of your whole waking day that you're pumped, or maybe is it 3%? No, yeah, 0.3% of your whole day you get to see yourself pumped, which is basically just looking at yourself one muscle group or kind of a few of them. Honestly, I'd probably say I like posing down with a chest pump the most because it's kind of a combination, right? Because I got uh, obviously my chest is pumped up, my arms from moving the weight, plus the flies are kind of pumped a little bit, and shoulders get some residual activation too. So it's like I got a full torso pump. So that one's probably my favorite. But it's fuck, what was I about to say? Oh, so that's just, a glimpse into looking at yourself bigger than you really are. So it just kind of sucks that for a lot of guys, it just ends up being, not a enjoyment of being pumped up, but it's kind of a, sort of a return to baseline when you're unpumped, you know. So that's I think that's half of the motivation behind most, and I mean not motivation like in your mind, I mean like reasoning behind a lot of body dysmorphic thoughts. Apart from like seeing guys that are just bigger than you posting all their perfectly edited lighting, pumped up photos or whatever else, like not even getting into that, but just on a you to you basis. Uh, if you see yourself with a crazy ass fucking arm pump, and then you also see yourself, you know, at 8 o'clock in the morning, completely flat, a little bit dehydrated from, not drinking any water that night, and then totally unpumped, like in the bathroom mirror with shitty lighting, like really soft, you're going to think, oh my God, my arms are so small compared to when they're pumped up. Oh, I want to be pumped up 100% of the time. But that's just not how it works, you know? So it's kind of a same thing with the dieting and a lot of things. There's a certain just view that you get when you really know all the facts. Obviously, if somebody knows how to diet, it's not going to be so tricky for them. But even with the bulking up, it's like don't or the seeing yourself pumped, like don't forget that's extra. That is extra. You're extra pumped. You're in cool lighting. You physically inflamed in a good way, whatever muscle you're talking about, because it's really like full of blood and everything else. That's a temporary thing. And then you got to come back to where you're regularly at. So don't get too disillusioned, right? And I mean, we see it all the time. Guys will post their like fully pumped picture, extra veiny, extra everything, and then walking around, they're like, this is what I look in the gym lighting with a pump, and this is what I look like walking around normal, right? I mean, everybody does it. So just try not to get too attached to that 0.3% look of your day. Like, it's cool. I don't think I need to argue that looking at yourself pumped up is cool. But don't forget, it's just a glimpse into what you're aiming for later, right? So the more you can kind of just use that as internal hype, the better. The freaking better. And I wonder if that's like subconsciously why I like lifting shirtless. Like I'm not going to put myself beyond that. I'm sure I've got all sorts of weird like subconscious things motivating me to do even just all this working out, bodybuilding to the point that I'm bringing it to. I've totally got some wires loose that I don't know about. But until that causes a problem, we're going to keep this up. We're going to keep this train rolling. So I'm still mid 240s. I got to start getting light. So we'll see how this weight loss progresses over these next few months. Because if the plan is classic physique in come springtime, for my height, I'm pretty sure I can only be like 218 or something on the kind of check-in of the day. Now you still can carb up like before that night, so it's not like you have to weigh 217 during like the finals of like the regular kind of local show or anything. But that seems pretty. How about we just see what happens? In just a few more weeks' time, I've got no doubt that I'm going to be diced. And by a few more weeks, I probably mean like month and a half or so. But that might be a weight cap that's a little bit below my pay grade. But who's to say? Ideally, I'm trying to get to a level of leanness I've never got to before. So maybe I'll just start dropping weight like start dropping weight like what? Well, something that drops a lot of weight. So until then, I'm gonna keep sticking to my calorie deficit, doing my 30 to sometimes more minutes of cardio every morning. Yesterday I did 45 minutes because I was feeling cheeky about it, but that might be a little much on the daily. I think I should just up it to 35. I said that a few days ago, and then I decided to do 45. Needless to say, that caused a post-cardio nap. So I think 35 might be a good number to move on from. And then just, keep dropping the calorie intake over time to make sure I continue my trajectory towards leanness. And if this lift is any testimony to that progress, then I think we're in for a treat. Or at least I know I am. So I'm going to go home, scarf down probably a 8-ounce chunk of turkey off of a pre-sealed kind of Kirkland 5-pound turkey breast. Maybe have a little something or other. I got a bunch of bags of like dried apples and dried bananas and stuff as a little bit of a treat. 14 grams of carbs each. Not the most filling thing in the world, of course, but hits my sweet tooth well enough and doesn't completely thrash my, blood sugar like grabbing a bag of Skittles would. So I'll see you for hopefully a veiny back day tomorrow. Definitely, yeah, so that's what I'm excited for too, because I'll get some kind of front of lat veins, like whenever I do a vacuum pose where you put your hands behind your back or your hands behind your head kind of thing. But I get some kind of, rivery veins creeping across my traps too. So I don't know if I'm that lean yet. Back vein lean might be a few weeks away. But I guess no other choice but to just find out tomorrow. But I'm getting excited. I'm always getting excited, man. I love dieting down. I love bulking up too. I just love the whole. I don't have to say it. You know it. You already know I'm into it. But until then, I'm gonna go eat something, get some sleep, wake up early, and get some cardio. I think I'll tag you guys along for the cardio in the morning. Do a little pumpless check-in, and then we can cut to that back day a little bit later. So tomorrow might be a long one. Might even throw a little breakfast clip in there. We'll see what happens. I got a bad track record of adding the food when I say I will, but I'm trying to get better at it. So I guess we'll find out tomorrow if I was full of shit or if I'm actually gonna clip probably some oatmeal, eggs, cheese, and a little bit of barbecue sauce. Not all together, of course, and those two things will be separate. But until then, keep well, I think we all know a certain 30-minute activity you guys should be doing on the regular. Now, whether or not you really are, I guess I don't hate to say it. It's not my problem. I know I'm logging at this point, hours upon hours of recumbent bike, and it is starting to show off. So just a little idea trying to implant into your mind there. So I'll see you tomorrow for back.